What do you guys think is the biggest issue facing the United States today? Just off the top of your head, what do you think is one of the biggest things?
Honestly, I think mental health is a big one. Mental health in relation to institutionalized issues, or
Yes.
is that the right word?
Like cultural injustice. I think there's just a lot of like miscommunication between the government and the like our generation specifically. I feel like they just don't feel represented enough. Okay, an example I can think of is in one of my psych classes. Like a big part of how we learn and like interpret information comes from our cultural backgrounds, and I just feel like across America there's so many different cultural backgrounds. Like people call America like the mixing pot or the melting pot. So I just feel like a lot of people feel underrepresented in the government because like they don't feel like their cultural background is represented.
I think
I'm beginning to believe that college students just say the first thing that comes to their head. You feel like you need to be more represented. What the heck does that even mean? Every single person is different. I don't know why you need to feel like you're represented. That is the most weakest mindset I have ever seen. If you feel like you need to see someone who apparently looks similar to you, that is a very weak mindset to have, and I'm sorry, but I'm judging once again.
It's a lack of empathy and tolerance and not understanding people's points of views and other people's struggles.
Well, with the tolerance and inclusivity issue, talk to me a little bit more about that. Why do you think that's such a big issue? Give me some examples of what's been happening.
Everyone's always discriminated based off of their race, classism, many things, and then we don't discuss it enough. And then it is discussed, it's only slightly partly in the news, and then it goes away. Like a lot of issues right now is environmentalism and how we're not going to be able to go back to what we had before because of pollution, and not enough is being done. But again, it's always individualized. It's always like, oh, the regular people have to be recycling, they have to be doing all this, and then we're not focusing on corporations and how they are polluting and stuff like that.
How many years do you think the world has left if we don't get climate change under control?
I think it said 7 or 6 years left.
6 years.
Something around that. I'm not positive.
These are college students. She said the world has 6 to 7 years left and talks about climate change and us helping the environment while she holds a mobile phone, more than likely an iPhone, which would have had to be created in warehouses, which would have also contributed to the pollution. But does she care about that? When it comes to her, no, she doesn't really care about that. These people are just virtue signalers. They just love to virtue signal. They love to be victims. They love to complain, but they also engage in the very behavior that they love to complain about.
Quote me on that, but I think it's around that, yeah.
Do you think it's 6 years? Do you think that's kind of extreme, or do you think that we're really on that track right now?
I think we're really on that track.
Before we get back into the video, I need all of you to turn on your post notifications so that you get notified when one of my videos come out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video if you enjoyed the video, comment down below. I'll try and reply to as many comments as possible, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at YinkaThatGuy. Let's get back into the video.
6 years and we're done.
Yeah, I don't think there's much left.
I think we've lost like kind of a lot of community or like sense of community. I think social media is an issue, kind of, and it's, I don't know, I feel like I can't really speak on like the biggest issue in America because there are a lot of really big issues. I don't think social media can be said to be the biggest issue.
It seems very polarized and everything seems politicized. And then there's the whole cancel culture thing. So it's hard to be able to learn from like this fast-paced, quote-unquote, wokeness that Gen Z is trying to like add into society, I guess.
You know what? So cancel culture has been an issue that has come up a lot from Gen Z. I've noticed this lately because I go to college campuses all over the nation. Are you guys concerned with where cancel culture is right now? Do you think it's an issue?
I mean, I think it can be kind of an issue because I think everyone can be very quick to cancel before they know all of the facts and then can kind of revoke it. But then I think it also can be a good thing in that we're not just like letting everything slide. So, I don't know.
Give me an example of when cancel culture has been a good thing.
Just like calling people out if they say something that's racist or like a microaggression or something.
I'm a little bit older. I don't mean to cut you off. What is a microaggression?
Just like little, usually racist comments on like, they happen like every day. Like usually they go unnoticed. Like, I don't know, a go-to for me is like, oh, you're smart because you're Asian.
At the beginning of speaking to these two ladies, I was actually agreeing with them partly on what they were saying. And then the more they spoke, they came to this conclusion that we are at right now. And once again, I get disappointed, as usual, with college students. People should be cancelled for saying that you're smart because you're Asian. People should be cancelled for that, for complimenting you, because it's a microaggression. This generation is so soft, it's absolutely sad.
Smart because you're Asian, you're smart because you're smart, and your race has nothing to do with how intelligent you are.
When you hear people tell you, like, oh, you're smart because you're Asian, how does that make you feel?
When I was younger, well, I'm half Japanese, half white. So when I was younger, I didn't feel Japanese, even though I look more Japanese. So people would tell me that, and I'm like, joke's on you, I'm white. But then it wasn't until later that I realized I was thinking that way because of the way I was being taught in school was like, white is good, like Asian American history doesn't exist. And I didn't know that until I got here, like that it's a whole field of study. And so like now when I hear that, I tell people like, you can't say that, and then explain why. And I think it's the explanation that really helps people, because then they're like, oh, I understand now. Like I even had to explain it to my mom because the whole model minority myth, and she didn't realize it was a myth because that's just how they grew up and that's just what the culture was, I guess. And then I explained it to her like, oh, that's a whole myth that the dominant culture made up and stuff. And
what is model minority? Sorry, I'm
Oh,
kind of
no,
new to
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of this terminology, so talk to me about that too.
it's the idea that Asian Americans are the top minority, and if there's like a little
They
pyramid,
are.
they're like the ideal minority.
It's just a
They
fact.
can get all the jobs and they get
They
to
do.
college and they're smart and stuff.
They
But
do.
it's not true
They are.
because Asian
It
American
is true.
is a giant umbrella term, and there's a bunch of different ethnicities and a bunch
We
of
know
different
that.
socioeconomic classes and
We
everything.
know that.
And I want to ask you too, because
I'm totally baffled by her saying that it's just a fact that Asians do better than also white people as well. What she's saying, yes, is true in the sense that, yes, there are countries under Asia, but in terms of Asians are doing the best in terms of academically as well. That's just a fact. I don't even know why that's an insult. That's a good thing.
we have been talking a lot, specifically on college campuses, about the concept of white privilege. I mean, is that something that's talked about on campus? What do you know about that? I mean, how do you feel about that concept in the modern day?
I mean, obviously it is talked about, or I don't know, white privilege. I mean, I do believe it exists. I've experienced it as being super white, but
How so? Give me some examples. What are you experiencing?
okay, I guess this wasn't on a college campus, but the most white privilege thing I've ever experienced is I was going to a play in San Francisco, and there was a black couple in front of me that like they were getting their bags checked, you know, normal, like whatever, and like the security guard checked their bags. Me and my mom walked up, and he was like, "Oh no, you guys are fine. You guys don't need your bags checked." Something like that. That I was like, "Oh, okay, weird." Yeah.
So you think it was a discrimination type thing? Like,
Yeah, or I don't know, or like why would he let us go but not them?
so I've been watching the news lately, and I've noticed
I really do feel sorry for the generation that is being created. So based off of that experience she had, she automatically assumed it was racism. So what she's trying to tell me, is it the case that every black person that went in was checked? Is that what she's trying to assume? Which is very stupid. Unintentionally, what's very funny is she's the one who's assuming that it's racism. How does she know what happened, why they're checking the bags, what was going on? She doesn't know any of that. She's one who's assuming race was the issue, which shows really racism in her.
that like the potential World War III or nuclear war with Russia has been a big issue. Do you know anything about that? What are your thoughts?
I'm not well versed in that, so I don't have much thoughts, no. But to be totally honest with you, I don't feel like I have the education on it to be able to really speak to it.
I think I've heard a lot of stuff on things like TikTok and social media, so a lot of times I don't necessarily know if I'm getting accurate information or not. I wish that there was a lot more accurate information being given out, because I think a lot of the times you get, I don't know, I think they try to minimize the extent to which the problems that are going on, if that makes sense. Yeah.
College students, you have to love them for just how naive they are and how gullible they are and how propagandized they are. It's absolutely very interesting watching these type of videos, and I love bringing these videos to you guys to watch them as well with me. But anyway, that was another video, another reaction. As I usually say, if you guys enjoyed the video, like the video as much as possible, comment down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at YinkaThatGuy, and I am out.